of the amendments to the trafficking law is have more definite standards, have clearer standards on how we can identify who are victims of human trafficking. Next two policy gaps are related. No? This has to do with forfeiture of the assets that we are able to seize. As you may know, in a lot of the hubs we've raided, a significant amount of cash was seized. In Clark, I think around 190 million pesos was seized. In Las Piñas, I think around 120. And in Pasay, Rivendell, around 7. Right now, we anticipate cash to be seized as well when we secure the break-open order from the vaults that are present in this building. We hope to be able to use the money seized sooner for the benefit of the human trafficking victims. Rather than the state being the one shelling out the money for the maintenance of the victims, as well as their repatriation, or even deportation if they're not victims, we hope to be able to be in a position to use the money that we seize. Next policy gap has to do with the justification of the takeover of the facility. As you've seen from all the significant raids we conducted, one thing that we do right after is we commandeer the facility, whether that's a compound or a building. And the reason why we do that is we do not have enough shelters to house these hundreds or thousands of individuals that we chance upon in the facility. So what we do is we improvise. Of course, we can justify that on the basis of police power, on the basis that this is a crime scene, but we'd rather have more specific provision of law to allow us to be able to do that. And last policy gap that we'll propose, although I did not put it here, has to do with the concern on search warrants. As you know, because of the prohibition on general warrants, the judges who grant us warrants tend to be very specific on the coverage of the warrant. But we are all aware that a lot of the POGO hubs that we seize are one-stop shop, single integrated units. So we hope to introduce this concept of a trafficking hub or a trafficking center in legislation to allow us to give the judges basis for a warrant that is much broader, for a warrant that would cover the entire building or the entire compound. So with that, Your Honors, we end our presentation. We hope, and again, we are very thankful that this committee has put this significant issue on the spotlight. Because one thing that we all admit in the interagency group, that the attention that this issue has been given has been very helpful to us in our fight to address the problem of illegal POGOs. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Yusek T. at sa buong iyakat. Napaka-informative po talaga in terms of the trends and patterns across the 5 anti-POGO operations so far narrated. Significant po yung pag-affirm nyo na organized criminal activity talaga ito. And therefore, ibig sabihin, yung ating response has to be even more and more organized. Kaya instructive din po sa komite your detailing of the challenges facing our law enforcement agencies. Very well noted, and some of these are very timely, lalo na ongoing ang aming mga budget plenaries sa Senado. And very instructive din, helpful yung pagtukoy nyo ng mga policy gaps, which for one, the committee will certainly use in drafting the committee report for the consideration of the committee members' findings and recommendations. Dahil nga we have been conducting this investigation for the past 3 years na pala. And we want to really strengthen our Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act and the other laws. Keep a pace with our law enforcement agencies kasi kayo rin nag-a-adjust, nag-e-evolve din. Dahil itong criminal activity ay patuloy na nag-e-evolve o nag-mutate, parang virus, and are clearly posing more and more challenges to our country and even to our government. Without prejudice to follow-up questions sa IACAT presentation and other questions, Dumating na daw ang kinatawan ng BIR, Attorney Ralbert Tinayan. So could I just ask...
Ay, ma'am, Tibayan po.
yes, Attorney Tibayan. I'm so sorry, Attorney Tibayan. Salamat po. Just a couple of quick questions. Kanina po halos sa simula ng hearing, pinag-usapan yung mga IDs. Kung genuine ba yan, kung fake ba yan na nakukuha ng mga Chinese POGO employees. Pwede po bang i-confirm kung yung mga BIR cards na halimbawa nasa possession ngayon ng PAOK at tiningnan namin ni na Sen. Sherwin kanina, legitimate ba ang mga BIR cards na ito?
Ma'am, with a simple eye test, medyo mahirap ma-determine if legitimate or hindi. But what we can do is, pwede namin isa-isahin yung TIN number if it really is registered with the BIR po.
And then tulad ng hiningi ng komite sa PhilHealth, could the BIR please submit the application documents that were submitted? If any were submitted, please submit copies to the committee.
We'll make that request, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Attorney. Yes, Sen. Sherwin.
Quick follow-up question to the BIR. How come the PIN numbers are not, that the cards do not have pictures?
Sir, yung ini-issue talaga namin, walang photo. And then, si taxpayer na yung maglalagay.
So, dapat
and lalo
palitan
if
na yan.
ever.
Alam niyo, bata pa ako, ganyan na yung nangyayari. And parang primitive, that's a primitive way of issuing cards. It's about time that BIR changed that.
Simulan mo na ang Christmas shopping with up to 70% off pamasko deals ngayong 11/11 Mega Pamasko Sale. Check out affordable Christmas essentials at meron pang free shipping araw-araw.
Shop Ganern!
It's already changed that antiquated, siguro hindi ka pa pinapanganak, ganyan na yan eh. So let's change that already because obviously it's being used for criminal activities and BIR is now embroiled in such. No? So I recommend to the BIR and tell the commissioner that let's already change that policy. Let's have yung totoong card, no, in plastic with pictures, and before BIR issues it, dapat may picture na para alam na natin siya talaga yun. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Thank you, Sen. Sherwin. Thank you, Attorney Tibayan. Follow-up pa rin po dun sa comprehensive presentation ng IACAT, particularly yung huling, yung ikalimang operations na tinalakay nyo, yung sa Paranaque. I firmly believe that the prostituted women there were victims of human trafficking. Yung characterization ba na yun, sineshare din po ng IACAT, for that matter ng PAOK at saka yung PNP, Women and Children Protection Desk?
Yes, Madam Chair. We identified, I think, 14 victims of human trafficking in that site. So 16 possible victims of human trafficking in that site. And these victims are the prostituted women.
Thank you for that, Yusek. Tapos nakikita na natin ngayon sa mga balita na these scam hubs have begun sprouting even outside the NCR, even outside Clark, no? Cebu, Iloilo, at iba pa. Can you comment on that emerging trend, that direction or pattern? Hindi ba pag totoo yan at magpatuloy pa yan, lumawak pa yan, mas mahihirapan po tayong i-track at i-crack down on ito?
Madam Chair, we believe it makes sense for them to move somewhere else because they're feeling the heat here. No? Mainit na talaga dito sa NCR at sa mga nearby provinces. At na-confirm namin yun dun sa na-rescue ng mga 30-plus Vietnamese and Chinese nationals. They were rescued just the day after we raided Smart Web. They were rescued in NAA Terminal 2, taking a domestic flight from Manila to Cebu. And ang kwento doon, sila doon mismo lumapit sa, I think, airport security or sa OTS. Sinabi, in English pa, linagay nila sa cellphone nila na, please help us, gano'n. At dahil nga doon, umaksyon yung mga tao sa airport, binifer dun sa ABSECOM, Tapos refer dun sa NAA Task Force, no, kay Prosecutor Jinky. And one of the things we were able to elicit from the victims is that they were headed to Cebu.
Bukod sa Cebu, bukod sa Iloilo, may napag-aalaman ba kayong iba pang mga destination or targeted or potential expansion areas ng mga POGO hubs na ito, or to begin using yung proposed term nyo, trafficking hubs or trafficking centers na attended by various other criminal activities?
Some of the victims that we rescued here, they said that they came from Cagayan de Oro. They came from CDO, another POGO and CDO. And then there are reports that some are going to Region 2. Maybe say Jose Cruz, up north, they're going up north.
Yes, please, Yusek Cruz.
Ma'am, we've been receiving intel info as to the POGO operations up north, ma'am. But siguro, ma'am, I'll just give you the report, ma'am, kasi, ma'am, yung iba, ma'am, work out na po namin. But meron talaga, ma'am.
Very worrying po talaga. The committee shares the worry of IACAT and the PAOK, and will be grateful to be kept updated para makasabay din po yung aming legislative work dito. Questions now also for the NAIA, TFAT na binanggit kanina, and perhaps also the Bureau of Immigration again. Pwede niyo po bang bigyan ng sense yung komite ng scale ng problemang ito based din sa trend sa inbound at saka outbound flows ng mga suspected or established na trafficking victims, at least over the duration of the past 5 operations discussed? Yes, please, Attorney Santos.
Thank you, ma'am. For the Bureau of Immigration, tinignan ho namin ang entry ng mga subjects na kita dito, ng mga foreigners. They came in as temporary visitors or tourists.
So, papasok sila bilang temporary visitors o kaya tourists, pero kalaunan, they end up and then they stay in these trafficking hubs or trafficking centers. Ito po ba ay related or hiwalay na phenomenon dun sa una naming at medyo matagal na inimbestigahan na Pastillas scam?
Hindi ko po masabi. But even for foreigners na hindi ho naman na nasa scam, ganitong klaseng problema, usually naman talaga ang mga foreigners sa atin humadating as temporary visitors ang initial.
And what does the BI notice about outbound flows?
Wala ho akong data right now, but we can check on that one.
Alright, salamat Attorney Santos. And gaya ng napag-usapan kanina with the PAOK, it's also come to our attention na some of those entering the country are actually fugitives from other jurisdictions. So paano mas mahusay itong matatrack, in particular ng BI?
Salamat po. Yung mga fugitives po, ang pansin ho namin, when they arrive here, hindi pa ho sila, as far as the Philippine government is concerned, aware na fugitives sila. So nalalaman ho natin na fugitive sila kasi pag nandito na ho sila, saka tayo na-i-inform ng embassy nila, or gaya nito, pagka na-check na sa raid, sasabihin ng embassy nila, fugitive nila yan. So si Commissioner Tansinko po has been speaking with counterpart embassies to request, to propose memorandum of agreement with them na regularly magbigay sila ng list ng kanilang fugitives para ma-prevent na po pumasok sila dito.
Opo, that would also make it easier for our law enforcement agencies na kung meron namang record, criminal record at that, itong mga inbound temporary visitors or tourists, tama si Com Tansinko, may regular na pag-update na mula sa counterparts ng BI sa mga bansa nila para hindi na makalusot sa BI, hindi na maging sakit ng ulo pa ng ating mga law enforcement agencies dito, even in relation to the misuse of government-issued IDs. So, salamat po para doon. And by the way, have there been any successful prosecutions of BI officials or employees, but especially of BI officials, for abetting the entry of trafficked foreign nationals and the exit of Filipino nationals bound for human trafficking abroad?
Opo, regular naman po yung mga cases, admin cases, and sometimes criminal cases against our employees na nagkakaroon ng mga ganitong issue.
Opo, meron na po laban sa mga employees, pero wala pa po laban sa any BI officials.
Meron din po ba?
Especially as a result of the Pastillas investigations by this committee and also parallel by our law enforcement and
Marami
investigative
po dun
agencies.
yung sa Pastillas ang dismissed na from the service.
Alright, salamat po. Mukhang kulang pa as object lesson dahil nagpapatuloy pa rin yung ganitong mga trends, yung ganitong mga patterns, and hopefully not, pero possibly still with the collusion of some insiders. So we'll have to keep the heat up also on that front. Para naman po sa NAA TFAT, sino nga po yung ating... Yes, ma'am. Attorney Delgado, do I read your name right, ma'am? Attorney Dedumo. On the part of the Task Force Against Trafficking ng NAIA, pag domestic flights po, minomonitor din po ba? Halimbawa, just to use the example na yung mga Vietnamese trafficking victims, buti na lang nakapaghingi ng tulong sa authorities natin. But they were actually on a domestic flight from Manila to Cebu at that time. Kasi nga nakikita natin, bumabiyahe sila from a point in the Philippines to another point in the Philippines. Cebu man yan, Iloilo, etc. Hindi man ito covered ng BI dahil domestic transfer, pero covered po ba ng inyong TFAT?
Good morning, Madam Senator. Good morning, everyone. Ang NAA Task Force po ay coordinating anti-human trafficking efforts sa NAIA terminals, international departures. But with the emerging trends, we decided, although nagiging international, domestic na po yung Terminal 2, hindi po kami umalis doon. We stayed and we continued monitoring and conducting surveillance po sa airport. Kaya po yung mention po ni Yusek kanina na may na-rescue na Vietnamese along with 3 Chinese, our NAIA Task Force agents immediately responded to the call of the PNP ABCU. So, nandun po agad yung ating mga iyakat staff na nag-assist po. Kaya po, nagkaroon po ng coordination, not only with the LEAs but also with the SWD and also with our iyakat staff or operation center for the shelter. And then we endorse it to the NBI, International Airport Investigation Division, because NBI has the primary jurisdiction for human trafficking at the airports. So in this case, Madam Senator, we are thankful for this opportunity to air out also our concern that we have also our Filipino nationals being victims abroad. We have cases of repatriated Filipino victims here being assisted by the IACA Task Force in the airport, NAIA Task Force, and also processed by the DMW or the Department of Migrant Workers. So, so it's not only happening abroad, of course, as being the subject of this inquiry, but also here. But as far as the NAIA Task Force is concerned, we have encountered cases wherein the returning OFWs were being offloaded by the BI, the iProbes, it's now iProbes, and they are grateful and thankful that they were offloaded by the immigration officers because later they came to know that there is danger abroad. And based on our interview, because we are assisting them in our office, they were hired or recruited through Facebook, and some met somewhere near the airport in some establishments and turned over fraudulent documents. So the reason why BI also offloaded those passengers, they presented fraudulent documents and also gave inconsistent statements. So that's why BI and IACAT, along with our LEAs, DSWD, and partners there, also with PAOK, we are consistently and continuously coordinating to protect our Philippine nationals from being trafficked abroad. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much also, Attorney Dedumo. And mabuti nga na nagdesisyon kayo manatili dun sa Terminal 2 dahil nga kahit naging domestic terminal na rin siya, meron pa ngang mga international flights served out of there. Pero yung pananatili nyo rin po sa Terminal 2, I hope it also means there's a possibility na organizationally, imo-monitor nyo na rin po yung mga domestic flights, which are actually also one or a few legs of the international human trafficking, like in that example we discussed. I hope you can comment on that a little later in the hearing, but I'd like to turn over first to Sen. Sherwin now for his questions.
I'm sure if I can jump to a different topic.
Sure po,
With
we'll
your
just
permission.
return to, NAA TFAT.
Yeah, with your
Please proceed.
permission, Madam Chair, because I was processing the briefing from IACAT. I want to ask Yusek Cruz, how come all of a sudden the Philippines became the favorites of Chinese syndicates? But all of a sudden, I've been in government for 23 years, but this is the first time that I've noticed that we became the favorite playground of Chinese syndicates. And these are not ordinary syndicates. No, these are not just the ones in Binondo. No, these are people capable of torturing, cutting fingers off their victims, tasering, kanina nakita natin, tasering their victims. Nakita natin yung bat doon. Walang sinami po yung mga fraternity dito. Yung fraternity dito, naging bata eh. Kanila yung bat, warak na warak, kakapalo. These are not ordinary people. These are animals. How come it became, all of a sudden, the Philippines became their favorite playground?
Sa observation lang po, Madam Chair, lagi po silang makakalusot eh. Parang there is always a way out for them once na may pinasok silang gulo. Like, for example, cases of physical injuries na areglo nila eh. Cases of, hindi ko naman ma'am nilalahat. But there were reported kidnappings na even the reports that you've seen ma'am dito sa isang kwarto, we consider them solved pag na-isoli na yung victim. In some reports, ang remarks sa report is solved, but ang totoong nangyari, sinoli lang po yung victim. What happened, ma'am, doon sa mga suspects? They just get away doon sa crime na ginawa nila, yung pag-kidnap nila, and then pag-torture doon sa tao. And these are sad stories, ma'am, but these are happening. And even in the registration of the cars, luxury cars for that matter, ma'am, like yung mga Alphard na yan and other luxury cars na nandito, it's not in the name of a Filipino person, ma'am. It's now in the name of a Chinese person. So, para sa akin lang, ma'am, this is my opinion. It's easy for them to purchase now lands, purchase properties here, even using yung, I don't know kung Filipino na sila o Chinese pa rin sila. So, that is quite easy for them, and even yung crimes na ginagawa nila, parang they can easily get off the hook doon sa mga crimes na ginagamit nila, na ginagawa nila. So, kaya para sa kanila, this is a heaven. Parang, ito yung magandang playground para sa kanila. Observation ko lang po yun, no? Not really what's really happening here, but my own
You said
observation.
what opened the door. There must be a door that opened for them. Because the Philippines, anyone naman, even before, pwede naman sila pumunta dito, pwede naman sila or do all of these things. But why in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Ito recently lang. In fact, it just intensified in the last 2 years. Yes. So what opened? I'm just trying to process what became the attraction. All of a sudden, Philippines became, uy, ganda dito ah. Dito natin gawin na itong mga torture natin. What gave them that idea to come here to the Philippines?
Sa
I mean,
pagpas-
organized crime is nothing new. It's been happening in China for many, many decades. But why now?
Sa tingin ko, sir, medyo maluwag po tayo, sir. I would...
Madami naman tayo